What's up, social media family, Facebook's family, 7.5 billion people on the planet, with the population increasing and decreasing simultaneously. And the Facebook world. I'm out here today in a park. I am practicing social distancing. I'm trying to make sure that all other people in the world are safe and happy and everybody has their space. But at the same time, I'm practicing social nurturing or social naturing, in the sense of I just want to try to get out and partake in nature. And there's this park that I'm close to, and I decided to walk to it just so I could get out and see the throngs of nature, to see the beauty of a world that was created by the Creator, but man has managed to put it in a social niche so that you can walk out and get the feel of what it was like back in the day before we had all these cars and trains and airplanes, and people pretty much had to walk everywhere to get the sounds of nature in them. And the story is, as I was walking, I was paying attention to sounds. Have you ever just paid attention to the sounds of the world? The first thing I noticed is cars passing by, people talking, and everybody just seemed to be going on about their businesses, and you can hear the sound of the cars and trucks. And what was so amazing to me is, as I'm listening, you know, when something passed by you, you seem to hear there's a silence in between all that passing around. And I just couldn't get past the silence. You know, I hear the noise, but there's a silence that is drawing me into trying to understand what's going on in life. And as I proceeded to come into the park, that same silence is in this park right now. But it's a different silence, but yet the same. And I just want to know, when you think about your life, or these are things that you think about, is what is the ultimate silence in the world? And the reason I want to bring that to your attention, ladies and gentlemen, is that there's a story that I want to share with you that comes from India. Like I told you before, I just try to read about life no matter where it comes from. And this particular story comes from India, and I just want to share these details with you so you can kind of think about what goes on in life. There was a young man who was born in India. His name was Neelkot. I think that's how you pronounce it. But it was predicted that when he reached a certain age, that he was going to leave his family and go and study to become a yogi. Now, when he turned age 11, now follow this, when he turned age 11, he decided that it was time for him to leave his family. Now, this is age 11. Now, you got to understand, this is back in the day when things were safer than they were now, but still, at 11 years old, he decides to leave his family. Now, when he left his family, he only left with a lion's cloth or something just to cover his bottom part. I don't know what they call it, but this is all he had. He had that. He had a water bottle. He had a stick to rest his arm on, and he had like a divine string that they give you when you take this journey. Now, when I first heard that, I was like, no, there's no way you can leave home at 11 years old. But there's something that confirms it for me later on. I'll share with you at the end. And I'm listening to the story, and you find this on Amazon. It's called The Mystic of India, and they talk about the history of India. Now, he leaves home. When he departs from home, it was said that he had to leave so no one else could follow him. Now, you got to think about this. This young man is 11 years old. He's saying that he's going to leave his family and his whole community, and then he's going to go to where nobody can find him. Now, it really draws me in at this point. He walks to a river, and he walks into the river so that the river can carry him downstream. By the river carry him downstream, that means that wherever he steps, put his foot on land, nobody will know where he is. A brand new beginning. Now, I want to just pause right here and just kind of talk about us. How many of us are willing to take that chance with our lives? How many of you, including myself, are willing to walk away from everything that we know, get carried down by the stream of life, step out on a new territory and new terrain to begin a life that's anew? My man was 11 years old. So the river carries him downstream. He steps on land, and then there's a new beginning. When he steps on land, he takes this new journey. He's going through jungles. Now, remind you that there's nobody with him. He didn't take no friends. He didn't take no books. He just took himself and the destination that he had in his mind. Those are the things that we have to look at. You don't have to carry anything with you. You just got to carry your dream with you or your purpose. And if you're doing that, then those things are fine. How you all doing today?
Good, yourself?
Good, doing well, thanks. You got to be able to take all of that with you, right? Now, when he goes, he stops in certain villages, and people always question him when he got to the villages. And they said, but why would an 11-year-old, why would someone so young be out here doing this? And you know what he says? He says, well, I just want to help people. I want to try to make the world a better place, and that's why I'm out here. And the older people thought that that was really wise for an 11-year-old person to do. Then comes the dramatic part. So you want to know where the drama part comes. So here's where it gets dramatic. He goes to this particular town, and when he gets there, the people that are the wise people says to him that we don't think that you should be out here because there's a man-eating creature that comes every night to kill us. And we don't want you to be out here because we don't want you to die. He looks at the elder statesman and said, what is there to fear? He said, whether I'm out here or in your house, death is everywhere. So why should I fear what I'm doing? I said, wow, 11 years old. How can you be that wise at 11? He said, no, but I'll just stay out here. So everybody goes in the house when it gets dark. They close their windows and they close their doors. But the minister or the guy that considered to be the wise man, he leaves his windows open. And he's sitting out there in meditation. So out of this jungle come this lion. And this lion proceeds towards him. He simply raises his hand. The lion stops. Then the lion lays down beside him. When they wake up in the morning, they come out and they see that the lion is no longer there. They see the lion walk away, and then there's no more fear in the community. He gets up, says what he has to say. The wise man appreciates that, and then he just continues on his journey. The next stop he gets to is another community, and when he gets to this community, he's telling them that he's getting ready to go to the Himalayan mountains. They say, well, why you want to go to the Himalayan mountain? It's too cold. You're not dressed properly for it. He said, I understand, but this is where I must go. And remember, the whole time he's making this journey, this is all he has with him, ladies and gentlemen. He has the bare essentials on his body to get him through what he's going through. Now think about that. He makes his trek to the Himalayan mountains dressed the way he dressed, and it's a long trek too. And when he gets to the top of the mountain, he stays there for 3 years, dressed the same way, doing yoga meditation, doing yoga exercises, being alone and to himself to discover who he really is. Now, my thing is for you and for me, just to pause right here in the story, how many of you willing to go to your mountain? How many of you are willing to go to your mountaintop to discover who you are and what you need to do in life so that you can be successful at whatever you're chasing? He was chasing spirituality. You could be chasing a dream to want to be a successful entrepreneur. You could chase a dream of want to be a speaker. You could chase a dream of want to connect more with your family or to create a better family. But there's a point where you have to break away from everything to do that. You're not going to find true wisdom in the midst of people. Because in the midst of people, you got so many varying opinions and how you should do this or how you should do that. But when you are alone, your mind is speaking to you. You are wrestling with those finite things that are in there so that you can get to the infinite, so you can understand what your true power is. Now, once he does this, he gets to training at the Himalayan mountains. Then he proceeds to walk the countryside once again. And the law is that as he's walking the countryside, he's going to communities and he's finding a way to try to unite humanity for a common cause so everybody can see what's common in them. And when he gets to this particular city, he wants to meet this wise man, but the wise man is not there. So the guys there say, well, won't you just stay a few days? He'll be back, and when he comes back, then you can talk to him, because I think he'll really want to meet you. Now, usually he didn't stay still. He said, okay, what I'll do is I'll stay for a couple of days, or at least until he comes. He was teaching them yoga. He was talking about spirituality. He was talking about all those things that he think were the basics to human development and human needs. So the Swami finally comes up. He greets them. And he's telling the Swami what he's going through. And he says, I need to leave now. The Swami says to him, no, you don't need to leave. You can stay right here with us and do the things that you needed to do. He says, no, I don't think I need to do that. But the Swami said, no, it was stated that someone would come along to take my place, and that person is you. Now, he thought about that for a moment, and he wrestled with it, and then he said, okay, if that's what it is, then I'll stay. So he ended up staying, and I think his name then became Swami Naharan. He walked all of India, ladies and gentlemen, over close to 8,000 or more than 8,000 miles, and visited every little nook and cranny of India, trying to talk to people about the high qualities of life. And my thing is, you're going to chase your dreams and goals no matter what. People can try to hold you back all they want. People can try to tell you that you can't do this or you can't do that, or it's impossible for you to do this, it's impossible for you to do that. But if you're willing to go at it alone to seek that inner power, then that's just what you're going to have to do. Let's face it, everybody's not going to walk with us. Everybody's not going to walk with you. But you got to be strong enough to say, this is what I got to do. This is what I'm feeling. This is what I got to break away from. And this is what I got to get into. And we're all trying to get into something that's going to give us bliss. And Joseph Campbell calls it, finding your bliss, finding that thing, that sweet spot in life, that when you get into it, life is neither past, present, or future. It's always in that moment. He found that. He found that at the age of 11 that's what he wanted to do. And he could not be deterred by anybody that he ran into. He could not be deterred by anything that you saw in nature. It was just something he felt he needed to do. And he did that. He accomplished that. And then he made it stop where he felt he needed to make it stop from. He felt that it was time for him to stop right there. My thing is, you're going to chase your dream, and you got to know what your stopping point is so that you don't let your arrogance or your ego overtake the fact that you have accomplished a great thing. We have to be mindful of that each and every day, right? We got to remind ourselves, what am I chasing? I'm going to give you a strange analogy. I don't know if it makes any sense. Say, if your dream is to get $1 million, and you realize that when you look at everything in social media or on television, it's hard for you to do that. But now you decide, and it's pretty extreme, so you decide that you want to get $1 million by going outside every day and finding pennies, collecting pennies. And you want to get $1 million to get pennies by collecting pennies. You know how many pennies it takes to get $1 million? You have to get 100 million pennies to get $1 million. If you were to do that in 12 months, that means that every month you would have to find 8,333,000 pennies. If you wanted to do it in 12 years, that means you have to find 8,333,000 pennies a year. And then in 12 years, you have $1 million. But if that's what your goal is, if you look at it on a minimal level, then that's fine. But then how do you multiply the Grant Cardone? How do you 10 times that thing so that you can get it even faster? But if $1 million is your goal, and then you go to 2 million, but $1 million was your goal, everything else is gravy at that point, right? That's what you got to find. You got to find that thing that makes you get up every morning and is not a burden for you to do it. Most of us in humanity, we have burdens, man. We have burdens because we want to take care of our families. We got burdens because we want to show the Joneses what we're doing. But if you see Neil Cott example, he wasn't trying to show up anybody. He wasn't saying to his community, he wasn't saying to the people that he surrounded himself that this is what he was after. No, he just went and did what he needed to do for himself. He didn't have a wife. He didn't have kids. He didn't have any of those things that we would call he needed to be responsible for, but just enlightening his mind. But when you add all the things that you feel that you need to do it for, don't add burdens to the goals that you're chasing. Don't try to put too much into the next person. Just understand that you're doing it for A, B, C, and D. And you got to make sure that that pursuit is for A, B, C, and D. You can't include E, because if you include E when you stop at D, then you're going to add more. You're going to add stress to what you're already doing. We just got to take time to find out what we want. And I'll say this all the time on my Facebook Live or anytime I do any presentation. In America, I'm walking in a park. I wish you could see it because it's beautiful. But in America, you have the ability to pursue whatever you want in any direction you want. And you got to make the choice as to what's going to be the way you pursue it. And then you have to say to yourself that I can accept the consequences for all of this because I'm doing it for A, B, C, and D. If there's only physical qualities that you want, it's going to be physical results that you get. If it's mental and physical, you're going to get them both. If it's spiritual, then most of the stuff that's physical and mental falls off. But the goal has to be what's important. And in America, you can do and you can pursue whatever you think you need to do. And I just think that we all should choose that is what's going to make us the happiest. Because at the end of this whole journey, there's a chronological stopping point. And I was reading an article the other day when they talk about when people get older, they don't have the energy to pursue their dreams as they did when they was younger. And I want to say this to the young people that may catch this video later on, like it and share it with them, that when you decide that there's something that you really want, like Michael Jordan, like Isaiah Thomas, like Zion Williamson, like Michael Jordan, like Andre Agassi, like Serena's and Venus Williams, like Tony Robbins, like Antonio T. Smith Jr., like Gary Vee, like Grant Cardone, or anybody that you may know that's celebrity, like Will Smith, Kevin Hart. You got to be able to understand that there's a sacrifice that has to be made for all of that. And if you know what you want and you're willing to make that sacrifice, like Kevin Durant's mom, when he told her he wanted to play basketball, she put all of her energy and made him put all of his energy, and she didn't let him do anything foolish with his life so that he can accomplish his goal. You're made the same way. In America, you have the same outlook and strategies. You just got to find the one that works for you. I am still in the process of finding out what works for me. And I think I'm going to keep finding that process until the day I leave this planet. Hopefully that's at year 999, like you found some of these people like years and years ago that lived to do that. But at the same time, I want to be able to say, don't throw too much stress on yourself, my man. I'm talking about me. Pursue your dreams the best you can. And to the younger ones, put everything in it while you're young. Put everything into what you want to do. And you see this throughout America. I mean, we haven't traveled the world, but if you got Facebook or Instagram, and you get people telling you about the hustle that they're going through. So don't be a stranger to knowing that it's going to be a lot of hard work. Now, if you wake up and this thing is easy for you, send me a Facebook Live so I can find out what you did to make it easier. But if it requires work, like Swami Naharan, walking 8,000 miles just to achieve enlightenment, then you ought to be willing to say, I can dedicate so much time to achieve my dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm coming to you from this beautiful, amazing park. I think the silence that I'm telling you about is the silence that resonates in all of our minds. We just can't hear because we think there's a lot of noise. But the best way to do that is to get away from people for a few minutes. Get some time for yourself and watch and listen to your own thoughts and see what they tell you. If you got people that believe in you, that want to motivate you, then attach them. If you got people that says it's impossible, do like Michael Jordan say, anytime somebody told him he couldn't do something, he may add a fuel to the fire. Then add their non-belief to the fuel of your fire. Let it burn in you because they're saying that you can't do it. Once you've achieved it, it's not for you to throw the ego back at them, because your results will speak for itself. And even when you think you need to give up, don't. Even when you think that you ran into an obstacle, you need to stop, don't. Even when you think that you're almost over the top and somebody's getting ready to knock you down and you got to start right back from where you started, not back at the beginning, but where you started when you made the climb. Don't stop. Get back up there, climb over. If that person is still up there, find a way to get past that gatekeeper and make sure that when you decide to stop and you decide to say, I'm at peace with where I am now, that's when the universe will say, welcome home, my dear son or my dear daughter. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to share that story with you. And I was telling you what backed it up for me is that when I saw Mystic India, it was on Prime. And then I was watching this show by Morgan Freeman called The Search for God. And I just like anybody that approaches this thing from an objective point of view. And this same story came up in The Search for God. When I saw the two, and they were similar in terms of how the approach was. And then there was one of the young men that was a follower of Swami Naharan. And he alluded to the fact of how it is a true story. But my thing is, you got to have a true story too. And it doesn't matter if it reaches the whole world or get put inside of every book in the world. It's just that you got to have a true story. You have to have a story that when you stand up in front of people and say, this is what happened to me. This is how I ended up doing what I'm doing. It's a true story because I'm giving you the rendition of it because I lived it. And then if someone sees your story as valuable, they want to go out and share it with the world, by all means, let them do it. And what you'll find out is you're going to tell it one way, they're going to hear it another way, and they're going to still get the essence of the story, but they're going to spin it. I might just spin it on them. And they might not have took it the way you said it to mean it the way you meant it. But nonetheless, you will still be the person that had the true story. Like, this is a true story. I'm actually in a park, a beautiful park. I hear birds all around me. And I decided to say to you guys, let me share this story with you about a young man that was 11 years old and walked through the jungle like I'm walking through a park. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you guys are having an amazing day. Please keep practicing that social distancing, but also add to a social naturing or social nurturing. And get outside, like I say every day. Get out and try to take in some of this sun. Get out and try to take in some of the clouds, the rain, wherever you are, take that in, but then take in the sounds of nature as well. And realize that if you are alive today, you are alive for a reason. And make that reason count until you wake up the next day. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, have a great day. And I'm going to turn this around so you can kind of see where I am. And I hope that your day is amazing as this park has been amazing to me. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll talk to you on the rebound. Peace.